This video is sponsored by Lonely Pillow. Hey fellow netizens, Plus here. I have a simple question. What do you think truly defines the elegance of the female body? Is it the way she carries herself with grace, the strength of character that shines through her very action? Or perhaps is it something far simpler, something primal? Yes, it's thick thighs. Look, I am a simple man, and thighs are the universal language that transcends through time and space, no matter your culture, your ideals, or even your criminal records. One glimpse of a perfectly sculpted pair can bring peace to the most war-torn soul. Thighs can silence arguments, topple empires, and in extreme cases suffocate a man to death. Which, depending on who you ask, is arguably not necessarily a bad thing, rather heaven. I think I'm speaking for everyone that thighs plays a huge part in thickening the plot in many fictions, especially in a game that enables child labor, corporate exploitation, and war crimes, where people die from rock cancer and other world-ending threats. Thighs are the last bastion of sanity. They are the soft counterbalance to a world of bloodshed, despair, and the reason why my monetized channel won't sustain my gacha addiction. Rhode Island, despite presenting itself as a pharmaceutical company, is less medical research and more paramilitary cartel with health insurance. They don't exactly do background checks. They will hire morally questionable mercenaries, goth girl with hyperfixation into suicidal music, and your future wife who is an eldritch horror from the ocean. But what they actually value above all else is asset diversification. Now, I know some doctors go for big badonkers, others obsess over pits, and a selected few are into feet. I'm a proud graduate of University, certified in the sacred arts of goonerism, and for me, the hiring process is pretty simple. If she doesn't have thighs, she doesn't rank high. For those of you who are still new to this, thighs are not just for aesthetics, they are strategic assets, a primal motivator for me in combat to log in. As you can see, I am also a renowned niche knights player, my niche being the 69 knights that is. So, dear netizens, I will be presenting to you a list of the finest thigh bearers Rhode Island has ever hired, from the classics that stood the test of time to the newest arrivals that pushed the limits of physics. Because while power creep is inevitable, thickness is eternal. And with that being said, let's get right into it. The first one on our list is a renowned mercenary. She has worked with us since the very inception of our organization, someone who loves to hide in the shadows and at the same time can see the shadow of other people. I'm talking about none other than Enus, a mercenary specialized in reconnaissance work and one of the few who could stand working together with W for many years. After all, she is not your average Sarkaz, she is a goated Sarkaz, someone who was able to fake her death back during the Chernobyl incident just to be able to infiltrate into the military commission in Londinium. Enus has lived her life as a blade in the dark, a mercenary who survives by never being heard or seen, only until it is too late for her enemies. And yet, we need to talk about her thighs. Most of her figure is hidden in dark fabric, but not those thighs. Those are framed like a spotlight, gleaming against the shadows, almost daring you to look. They stand out so much through the contrast, and they do get light reflection, since those thighs seem to be really well preserved, despite the fact that she has probably been on mission without any rest for days. It is almost as if she wants you to stare at those assets, you know, for strategic advantages in close combat, years of reconnaissance, endless hours of sprinting through battlefields, and crouching in the ruins of collapsing buildings have honed them into something terrifyingly efficient, thick, powerful, and yet so impossibly controlled that she can sprint across gravel and broken glass without making any sound. And this raises a very important question. How is it possible for Enus to stealth so perfectly? If her thighs are that strong and that heavy, wouldn't they clap loud enough to give away her position? That's the paradox of Enus. Mass and grace fused together in silence, thighs that should clap louder than the enemy's alarm bells, yet move like ghosts in the night. And when you see her standing side by side with Hodra, years of history behind them, you start to understand. These thighs aren't just tools of survival, they have carried her through betrayal, bloodshed and loss, and still remain unshaken. And that is why she is able to reserve a spot in this video. Moving on, our next operator is in a similar line of work, a 𝗚cie whose very name drips with intrigue, a member of the Rose Riverbank's spy network, a vampire who's been pulling strings since the day of Babel. Enter Antelletia. Antelletia is known for her elegant and gracious way of handling intelligence work, and unlike most 𝗚cie mercs who solves problems with brute force, Antelletia works with blood, not just hers but yours too. Her arts can pull the life out of the enemy and send it right back where it hurts most. She has full control over the flow of blood of any living being inside her range, which makes me wonder if she can make you elevate when you see her. Personally, I have such an affection for vampires that I would willingly rub garlic all over my body, except for my right ball. But let's get serious for a moment. I know that it is not easy, especially when her thighs are staring right into your soul. Or maybe it is the other way around. Vampire or not, she isn't hiding them. They are perfectly curved, proportionate, down to the decimal. If I wanted to define the formula for perfectly balanced thighs, Antelletia would be my standard for measurement. She is the living embodiment of the golden ratio. Don't let mathematicians hear about Antelletia, they would scrap pi and rebuild the entire field of geometry around her hips. And how does she maintain thighs like that? Well, it's simple. She literally controls her own blood with surgical precision. Most of us pump iron, she pumps hemoglobin. That's why her figure stays flawless after weeks of crawling through underground missions. She doesn't need a workout routine, she fine-tunes her circulation. Most thighs this size would thunderclap like artillery every step you take. Hers don't, because she's calibrated them. The exact angle, the exact blood pressure. She swings her scythe with perfect elegance, and instead of hearing thunderclaps, you only hear the slicing and dicing of whatever poor bastard got in her way. Antelletia's thighs aren't just thick, they are optimized, a biological cheat code, the kind of perfection you would only reach if you could rewrite your entire anatomy from the ground up. If Enus' thighs were forged by survival instinct, Antelletia's is alert through intricate blood engineering. That is a term I just made up to sound smarter in my video. And look, I would absolutely not mind Antelletia sucking me dry. The thought that a part of me is flowing right through her thighs would satisfy me for the rest of my life, no matter how much time I would have left, assuming she is really sucking me dry. With that being said, let's move on to the next one on our list. She is young, bratty, but mentally already mature. She is known for being a prankster who dares to test anyone's patience on the landship. Not being inside her loop shooter range doesn't necessarily mean you are not within her sight for pranks. Introducing Kapper. Kapper is a cultist from Bolivar, or as I like to call it, the carbon copy of Mexico, a place where shootouts, gang wars, and extortion are just part of the morning routine. Growing up there means adapting to chaos, and Kapper thrives in it. At first glance, she looks like a bubbly, happy-go-lucky operator, always laughing, always skipping around as if she's headed to a candy store. But don't be fooled, that smile is the mask of a brat. Once she decides you are the fun you have already lost, you will become her new toy. She won't ask you for consent, and neither would I. Her weapon? Just another toy to her, which honestly makes her brat energy even worse. Most operators are scared of her pranks, including robots. Lancer 2 was once tricked into getting a system upgrade. Little did she know, there never was a system upgrade. Kapper installed 𝗚𝗏 language model on her, resulting in Lancer 2 occasionally shouting thermal shock in the medical department, leaving her depressed for days. I would still like to remind you that we're not here to evaluate the brattiness of an operator, but her thighs. And Kapper's thighs are quite the sight. Despite coming from Bolivar, where starvation is unavoidable, she has a surprisingly fertile appearance compared to Enus, hardened by survival, and Antelletia's sculpted through blood arts. Kapper is the wild card. She is younger, less experienced, yet somehow already thicker. It doesn't add up. How can someone who still plays with toys outclass veterans in raw thigh volume? Maybe it was her ultimate prank. Imagine the fury of hungry thugs back in Bolivar watching this brat walk around, fed well enough to grow thighs like that. Of course they would snap. Correction is needed, you would shout, and you would be right. But if Bolivar gangs couldn't correct her, then what chance do we have? Kapper doesn't need golden ratio elegance. She doesn't have optimized biology. She just has raw, natural thickness. Her thighs are part of her prank. an extension of her bratty personality. They don't follow rules, they don't need balance, they need to crush those pineapples behind her and my head. The thought of being trapped under them, crushed while she giggles, and realizing I lost to a brat with a toy for a weapon, that is not defeat, that is a life-fulfilling humiliation, one I could honestly strive for, because I would quickly fall asleep from the soft squish of her thighs, ignoring the skull-crushing pain. Alternatively, I could also fall asleep with the help of a quality Dakimakura, which just so happens to be today's sponsor. Lonely Pillow is the only Dakimakura shop you will ever need. They have got a massive range of characters from all sorts of gacha games, including Arknights, Crown Slayer with unrestricted thighs, check, Mudrock in both summer and ambient skin, check, Surdle in full Tsundere mode, naturally. Every case comes with customization for safe for work fans, all the way to the down horrendous Dakis reserved for the truly freaky fellows among us. I tried one myself, not the freaky one, the wholesome one of course, and let me tell you, my sleep has never been the same. No longer am I alone in bed. I'm sharing my nights with La Pluma, and that is an upgrade I didn't know I needed. Their Daki cases are soft, smooth, and dangerously elastic, the kind of quality that makes you understand why some people write entire guides about Daki maintenance, because buying one isn't just a purchase, it is an investment, and you get the most value by keeping it properly preserved. I went through the Scroll of Wisdom, learning all the maintenance methods, and accidentally stumbled into the forbidden knowledge. Let's just say that I was out-freaked by the experts, but all the jokes aside, their Daki case are exceptionally flexible and smooth to the touch. Sleeping with it gives a sense that you are not alone, and everything will be fine by the next day, although this could just be my schizo kicking in or my copium fighting off the loneliness. Regardless, it is a really nice experience, plus I had the opportunity to meet some truly wonderful people. As always, link is in the description. Go make a poor financial decision. Now, let's get back to the thighs. The next one on our list is coincidentally another Kautos. She has been fighting alongside us since the game came out. She and her teammates have been through a lot. I'm talking about none other than... That single voice line summarizes her entire existence. Cruz the Keen Glint is no longer the half-asleep intern you remember from launch, and for your own safety, you should still never look her in the eyes, unless you want to experience her unrestricted toxicity. She finished her training, became a proper operator, and carries thick thighs as a clear indicator for plot-driven character development. Picture it, the A1 squad holding a reunion after many years. Hibiscus finally became a proper medic, her twin sister grew out of her edgelord phase, Fang promoted into a real commander, and then Cruz walks in, and while she is serious, capable and professional, she also crushes the entire team in terms of raw thigh volume. Her thighs alone could pull everyone's eyes. Years of minimum effort on missions didn't hold her back, they reshaped her into something beautifully thick. Actually, let's be real, it wasn't an effort at all, it was the culmination of her daily nap. The woman literally slept her way to legendary thighs, with her shorts digging in from the top and her stockings squeezing, no, attacking from below. Her thighs are cornered at the upper edge, forming into one of the most thick yet heavenly forms known to man. The earth is round, Cruz's thighs are rounder. They put all the previous contenders to shame. I think there's a good reason why she keeps them so tight. Her thighs are not just for the eyes, they are like her traps, carefully calibrated between her shorts and stockings. Enemies get too close, forcing her to dash out of her hiding spot. Not only will they get caught off guard by the element of surprise, they will be deafened by the unavoidable sound wave from her shorts and stockings ripping under pressure. These thighs are tactical equipment to gain an advantage in close combat, because Cruz has had enough of facing casualties in her missions. She wants to take the initiative, which is why this is peak character development and why her thighs are relevant to the plot. Forget her crossbow, those assets are more lethal. If you are near her, make sure she doesn't cross her legs, bend the knees, or God forbid, sit crisscross on a chair. Next up, we have someone from the depths of the ocean, one of the infamous abyssal hunters, a super soldier genetically engineered to defend Aegir against the Seaborns, only to wash ashore after a failed mission. Sorry to break it to all the Skadi fans, but I'm talking about none other than Gladia. She is probably one of the most talented Aegirian you will ever meet. In her lifetime, she has stacked up more titles than you could think. Technology Consul, Honorary Army Leader, chief combat strategist of the Abyssal Hunter, and of course, the under thighs. Let's talk brass tacks. This whole debate was unfair from the beginning. Nobody stands a chance against the super soldier. You can't compare mortal thighs to a genetically engineered, state-funded pair of war assets. These aren't just thighs, these are weapons of mass reproduction, mass destruction, childbearing hips, weaponized to meet Aegir's daily quota of slaughtered seaborns. But what truly intrigues me are actually her pants. Keep in mind that Gladia used to fight deep underwater in this very uniform. How firm are they that they could withstand being ripped apart 1,000 meters deep under the ocean, while also not being torn from the tension created by Gladia's mass distribution? These pants must be firm and elastic at the same time. Her thighs are literally suppressed by Aegir technology. They didn't just design fabric to withstand oceanic pressure, physical trauma, or seaborne assimilation at a cellular level. They designed it to contain the most dangerous thighs in their whole Abyssal Hunter project. Now, was it her mother's strictness or the crushing weight of duty on her shoulders that forged these national treasures? We may never know, but one thing is for sure, these thighs aren't ornamental, they are the engines of a predator. She can accelerate faster than a crossbow bolt, move at supersonic speed, and if she decides to close the distance with you at regular intervals, be prepared for all your bones being crushed while she breaks the sound barrier. I can already picture Gladia sprinting on land. Underwater, it's silent, but here, the sheer friction of her thighs against those pants would echo with every single step. A soothing rhythmic hymn, the national hymn of thighs. A melody of superiority condensed into the pinnacle of the human body. And to be frank, that is exactly why my bones deserve to be crushed between them. If you have made it this far into the video, congratulations, you are now an officially certified grade 3 degenerate, approved and signed by yours truly. Your certificate is in the description. You should also be cultured enough to join my Discord server, a hell for the sane, but a heaven for the insane. A place where people force me into a maid's dress on a daily basis, where every kink is treated like a power system, and where normies are ruthlessly gatekept at the entrance. Now moving on, we have witnessed every kind of thigh across this company. Some were forged through genetic modification, others are sharpened by years of discipline, or even the simple motivation of pulling pranks. Each of them is beautiful in their own right, and yet all of them leads us to the same destination, the thickening of the plot. But none of them, not a single one, can come close to the operator who awaits at the end. People often wonder, what is the upper limit of thickness a fictional character can reach before it stops being attractive and becomes grotesque? And that is not a question with an easy answer. It is not just math, it is not just aesthetics. To find the perfect height, you would need to understand every mathematical curve around the hip, the preference of the human eye, and the cultural background of the observer. But what if I told you there exists someone who literally dances right on that knife's edge? Someone whose thighs tangle between peak beauty and unrecognizable mass? What if I told you this very character could crush all of our skulls lined up like grapes with nothing more than her thighs? Introducing 𝗚cie. She is a childhood friend and rival of Gaviel. Despite coming from Sargon, one of the least developed corners of Terra, 𝗚cie is surprisingly knowledgeable when it comes to building machines. She was also considered a genius shortly after joining Rhodes Island. Even Closure gave her full permission to work with the engineering team. But we need to talk about her thighs. Being childhood friends with Gaviel and Tomimi clearly has side effects, because all three of them share similar traits. Just look at 𝗚cie. Those thighs aren't just thick, they are structurally reinforced. Those aren't legs, they are support beams. Where does it all come from? Let me elaborate. Unlike her tribe, who still lives off traditional labor, 𝗚cie has already transcended into a tech otaku. She doesn't haul water, she builds machines to do it for her. She doesn't cut down trees, she builds machines to do it for her. And when it comes to engineering, she doesn't use wrenches, she uses her thighs. Nuts, bolts, screws, it doesn't matter. 𝗚cie just clamps down and torques them into spec. That is what we call efficient use of body mass. Since she is an anaconda-based Phidia, her thickness isn't earned, it is genetically imprinted. She didn't skip leg day skipped her. And then there's her clothing, if you can even call it that. Those straps are less outfit and more warning signs. They are hanging on for dear life, defying all reasons or laws of physics. But really, what else did you expect from the thickest plot of this video? Suffocation from Eunectes might just be the best deal at Rhodes Island. Not only do you get her thighs locking around your skull, like the melons being crushed in many videos I've consumed on Bilibili, you also get her anaconda tail wrapping you up for the full package. That is the equivalent of being confronted by her skill too, and you are the stunned one. And how many times have I said it? I want a woman who can crush my head between her thighs. Any part of her body can crush my head. Despite all that, I have to tell you that she has long set her eyes on someone else. Yes, netizens, she is unfortunately a die-hard clanker. She is so down bad for 𝗚𝗚 that it was the primary reason she joined Rhodes Island in the first place. I'm still shocked that 𝗚𝗚 managed to get 2 features in a thigh video. That said, Eunectes not adapting to modern life might actually be a blessing in disguise, because I would teach her the way to tighten the work relationship. Things like how to cook a modern meal, how to hold a conversation, and most importantly, how to use the bathroom. And let's be real, Eunectes doesn't just have the thickest thighs in Rhodes Island. These are industrial grade, tribe certified hydraulics. Every step she takes isn't just a movement, it is a seismic event. The ground doesn't rumble because of Big Ugly behind her, it rumbles because of what is holding up her shorts. You have reached the end. Thank you very much. Gooning is my side hustle thanks to dedicated audiences like you. Consider yourself cultured, enlightened, and mentally corrupted by the mass distribution I've just shown you. If you enjoyed this descent into degeneracy, make sure to like this video, drop a comment with your own thigh takes, and of course, become a channel member to join the ranks of the privileged consumers. As always, shout out to all the privileged consumers who are funding this legalized spread of forbidden knowledge. Additionally, I would also like to give a huge shout out to Zodiac, who has been making exceptionally well illustrated thumbnails for my videos. After all, he is the one who has to bear the constant request for bigger thighs in this commission in particular. Once again, I am truly thankful to all the people who help make this channel thrive. Since we are not far off from reaching the next big milestone, my editor can finally leave my basement and I will be away to Limbus, my company.